Here's a stellar career resume for Johan Santana. These numbers are presented by Geico. Over the course of a 12-year career, Santana struck out nearly 2,000 batters, held opponents to a .228 batting average. He was a four-time All-Star, two-time Cy Young Award winner, MLB Triple Crown in 2006. Of course, pitched the only no-hitter in Mets history. The numbers, they speak for themselves. The question is, do they say Hall of Famer? Santana is eligible for Hall of Fame status next year. Nelson, you played with him. What set him apart as a competitor?
Well, everybody knew about that great changeup that he had. I mean, when you look at him on the mound, it wasn't that he was a dominant figure out there. He wasn't a guy who, but he was so intense. He had that changeup, he had off that fastball, and he could go with two pitches and just dominate a ball game. I mean, I remember marveling at the size of his hands. Weren't very big, but he was so strong, and he would go out there with that mentality that you were going to have to knock him off the mound to beat him. It was such a tremendous career. You see the numbers, but it was really condensed into 5 seasons. Those 5 seasons were magical. That's really where he did all of his damage and put up those tremendous numbers. So to think about what could have been, I mean, after his age 31 year, he really didn't pitch much more after that. So that's the disappointing part for me. So I don't know if I say he's Hall of Fame worthy just because of the 5-year stretch that he had.
Right. Well, I got to face him, and in facing him, you mentioned the changeup. It was a disappearing pitch. It came out of his hand, and you thought it was fastball. I think even in going through this discussion, I never realized just how special he was for the 12 seasons that he played, honestly. And immediately when I think of 12 seasons, I think of Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax not only was amazing for 12 years, but when you look at the comparisons, they're not so bad. There's definitely a case to be made for Johan. The things that you don't see in these statistics with Sandy is that in 1963, Sandy had 11 shutouts in one season, 4 no-hitters and a perfecto that happened to be on the day that I was born, by the way, so 9/9/65, homage to my buddy Sandy. And he was just so dominant for such a short amount of time, and as we all know, he couldn't continue pitching anymore, but because of the stretch that he had, they were in World Series, and he had been so dominant. I think Sandy was one of those guys that got chosen, and Johan gets overlooked a little bit because he didn't have that same impressiveness.
15 seconds, yes or no, Hall of Famer?
I think he's on the bubble.
I don't think he can, but I love him as a pitcher even more after looking at this.